Hollywood, historically, black folks don't govern over anything. We're in front of the camera and it looks good. Give black folks enough. Black folk have earned the right to have the things that we believe. I just found myself enjoying being on the set. I was always just, mesmerized about, how things came together.
Motherfucker gay in Hollywood, you never expected. They be having these big mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited than a motherfucker to be at the mansion party.
There's something deeply uncomfortable about watching a talented person vanish from the spaces they were clearly built for. And that is exactly what a lot of people felt when they started paying closer attention to Larenz Tate's career. Here was a man who by every measurable standard had everything it took to be a generational star. The talent, looks, and critical praise was there. Then somewhere between the late 90s and the early 2000s, the mainstream spotlight just moved on without him. Now people are going back and listening more carefully to what Katt Williams has been saying for years, not just about Larenz Tate specifically, but about the broader machinery of how Hollywood actually operates. Katt has never been subtle about his belief that the industry does not reward talent alone. He has said repeatedly, music, that what gets you to the top is compliance, and what keeps certain people from the top is a refusal to play along. To really understand what happened with Larenz Tate, you have to go back to where it all started. He grew up on the west side of Chicago, and by the time his family relocated to Los Angeles, his two older brothers, Laren and Larenz, were already chasing acting careers. The three of them got into a local drama program together. And from that point on, acting was not just a hobby for Larenz.
Years of Menace to Society, a film that has helped change so much about the industry and the world. How happy does it make you to know that the film is still being embraced by audiences and that it continues to be held in such a high regard for the risks that it took and the messages that it wanted to send?
Well, first, I didn't realize it was, you say 30 years?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was 30 years. Oh my goodness. Yes, 1993 when that's crazy. Oh, wow. I'm gonna look, you have to give me a minute. That's, I'm speechless actually, because it doesn't feel like that long ago, but I guess so because, fans of that movie have really supported, and it has kind of moved from generation to generation. I have kids now, and they are aware of Menace to Society. They know all about that, and it's just, wow. I just think that the message behind the film was just so strong. Getting to see what the inner city life for young black males were like, and seeing some of the challenges and a lot of the things that they were going through. It really resonates today. I think some of the similar things, unfortunately, haven't changed in certain cases, but to be able to see that movie, to see people continue to celebrate it, really is touching, and it means a lot to me. It's the movie that really, I think, was a catalyst to my film career.
He started picking up small television roles in the late 80s, popping up in shows like The Wonder Years and Family Matters. Nothing earth-shattering, but enough to show the range was already there. Then 1993 happened. He landed the role of O-Dog in Menace to Society. And honestly, that performance still holds up today. O-Dog was volatile, unpredictable, and genuinely terrifying in the best cinematic way. But for Larenz to pull that off as a teenager with relatively limited experience was remarkable.
How many really thought Larenz was O-Dog?
Yeah,
and you walk up to Larenz and you be like, what the
Hey, listen to me, man. When I first got in the business, 06, 07, man, I really thought everybody was the same. I had no idea that everybody wasn't like this.
No.
I really thought, because every song, when I was doing it, it wasn't like the song. I didn't hear Compton's Most Wanted and start selling dope. I was selling dope listening to Compton's Most Wanted.
Exactly.
I didn't put in work because Cube said put in work. I was putting in work, listening to Cube, going to bus on, whatever we was doing. So when I got into business, it was strange to listen to people talk, and it was like, wait a minute, this is not this? And then Dub C had to set me down, man. It was a crazy conversation. I was like, holy shit. Because why would I know? And I'm not blaming the rapper, right? I'm not blaming anybody because this is entertainment. If I was ignorant enough to think Arnold Schwarzenegger was a Terminator, that could be considered my fault. But at the same time, I'm not that crazy. It's people who don't have the IQ or information to decipher that this person may not be like this. Like, this is what you told me, I believe you. So I'm expecting it to be this way.
Oh, bro, that's
what how many naive motherfuckers out there right now believe Suki be eating
I thought she did. I was
You
like,
get
this
me?
little whore is nasty as a mother.
like, I mean, tell you the truth, I'm like, do she really eat like, is she, because I know some nasty broads.
Yeah, no,
so I'm like,
damn, she started rapping.
Like, hey, if she rapping it, maybe she really get down like she live.
Yeah, and I don't even know if that's comparing gangster rap.
Oh, it's the same.
To what they doing. Yeah, it is the same.
Because it's a lot of niggas who will say I'm a hard nigga and I claim this and I'm from this and I'm from that.
But I would say with gangster rappers, they have a tendency to embellish the facts a little bit more, but it's still a fact. I don't think you could be sweet, probably purebred at the crib, then get on a record talk about eating people and sucking their balls.
It's still are not gangsters, but they might make gangster rap. That is actually more that are not gang members that make gangster rap than there are that are gang members.
What followed was a run that most actors would genuinely dream about. Dead presidents. In 1995, Love Jones in 199, 1997, which gave him a completely different kind of icon status. He was not just the guy who could play threateningly music, but he was the guy who could make you fall in love on screen. That versatility was rare then, and it is still rare now. The industry had a star on its hands. Music, the question was always going to be on whose terms would that star shine. Well, Katt's January 2024 interview on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe was the moment that cracked the internet open. He spent nearly 3 hours laying out his perspective on how Hollywood functions, who benefits, who gets pushed aside, and why certain people never reach the level their talent deserves. He talked about gatekeepers, politics of who gets cast, and who gets passed over, about comedians and actors who, in his view, compromise themselves to climb.
All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
What he has consistently in music suggested is that Hollywood has a filtering system. Not just the obvious one of auditions and agents and network connections, but a more personal one, a social one that involves being invited into certain circles and being willing to do certain things to stay in them. He has never framed this as a conspiracy theory, but as a professional reality that anyone who has been in that world for long enough eventually has to reckon with. Whether you take everything Katt says at face value or not, one thing is undeniable. He has been inside that industry for decades, and he has watched patterns repeat themselves. That alone is worth paying attention to.
Shay Shay, yeah. I was trying to do something there that hadn't been done. I thought that I had figured out the algorithm mathematically, and I thought that I could show that. And when I wrote it out to kill the careers of the people I was talking about, right? But it was so vicious that I erased all of the knockout blows and just left the jabs, so that the comic I'm talking about knows that I know your real story. I'm gonna tell this, but you know what else I know.
Well, here is the part that people keep circling back to. After the strong run in the 90s, Larenz Tate did not disappear entirely. That is an important distinction. He kept working. Music, he was in shows. He had film appearances. He was building something. But the level of mainstream visibility that seemed almost inevitable after Love Jones simply did not materialize the way you would have expected. This is where speculation starts to enter the room, because nobody from the outside can know for certain what was being offered, what was being declined, or what conversations were happening behind closed doors. What we can point to is something Larenz himself said in an interview with Boardroom magazine, where he spoke about integrity being one of the core values he wanted to carry through his career. He talked about keeping his ego in check and understanding that he was not in the industry purely for fame.
And that was a great experience, but I always kind of felt like we were always in a box. And I'd been doing a lot of TV since I was younger. And when I got a chance to do movies, it was just a little bit more freedom. And what I realized that the movies that I was doing were told by people that I related to and that looked like me and had my same sort of experiences or some of my ideas and my thoughts on life. And that felt really refreshing. And it was like, it felt like we weren't really in a box. When we did Minister Society, I mean, the Hughes brothers at the time were 21. I think I was 17. And they were 21. These guys are, young. They were 20 when they first started. But when we got to production, they were 21. And we were able to do a story and tell a story the way we know how a story should be told. Whereas when I was doing television, for instance, even in the piece, the uncensored piece, I talk about my experience with the late Red Fox, rest his soul, as well as, Della Reese and now Naya Rivera. Bless all their souls and their spirits. But I mentioned that, Red Fox would always ask me, because I was a 15-year-old kid, he would say, is this how you really would say these lines? Or would you say, I said, I wouldn't say those. I wouldn't say those lines.
We girls have become friends since we've been doing this show. Have you become friends with any of your co-stars?
Yeah. One of my good friends is Ludacris. We did a movie, Crash.
Yes.
Once we got on Crash, that's my guy, right? And it's so funny because Chris loves to bring me on stage, which I love. And of course, my inner rap artist is into it. So it's so funny. One time he was doing, move, get out the way.
Get up and do it.
So
Get up
I
and do it.
snatched the mic
No,
and started trying to rap and do
I
my
wanna
thing.
sing.
Well, listen, I don't rap. I don't do. That's the whole thing. I don't know.
What came out of your mouth?
Everything but the right words. and so, needless to say, Ludacris never invites me on stage again. He says, never Kanye West me like that again. I'm pulling microphones. No, but what can I say? That's just not my lane. So I remain an actor.
He also spoke candidly in a 2023 interview, Music, about how Hollywood studios have, in his view, shown a preference for Black British actors over Black American actors, calling out what he described as an imbalance in how value is assigned. That is not a man staying quiet about the politics of the industry, but a man who has clearly thought deeply about how the machine operates and where he stands within it. Reading between the lines, it seems increasingly possible that Larenz Tate made choices along the way that caused him mainstream momentum but preserved something else entirely. Keeping that aside for a while, you cannot have a conversation about Hollywood power structures in the 90s and early 2000s without acknowledging the role that Sean Combs played in that ecosystem. His parties were not just parties. They were for many people the social infrastructure of the entertainment industry. An invitation to those events meant you were inside a particular orbit of influence. Guest list read like the directory of Hollywood and music royalty combined. When everything surrounding Diddy began to unravel publicly in 2024, music, what followed was a very telling silence from most of the industry. People who had been photographed at those events for decades suddenly had very little to say. Some offered careful statements, while others simply said nothing at all.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing. And I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that because the man card means everything.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the podcast. This is absolute. But listen, we've talked about it. We've had a lot of the guys on to talk about this stuff. Are you done with Hollywood because of this specific reason?
I'm still working. I still, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the Chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need to. But eventually, I've done what I set out to do, which was to redefine the universe. I've proven what I've set out to do, and that's why I have all the patents. Whether they evaluate it or not, that's up to them. But I've done the work and finished it. Now I can go on and do whatever else we need to do.
What was striking, though, was how many people within that world had seemingly made the quiet decision years earlier to stay on the outside of that circle. Some of that was luck, while others almost certainly music judgment. Katt Williams himself was notably vocal, saying in 2024 that he had his own receipts from declining certain invitations over the years. Whether that was specifically about Diddy or about a broader pattern of events and environments in the industry is worth considering.
At least if you're in the ATL and a doing drugs in the ATL, the nigga at least excuse himself, go to the bathroom or some then Hollywood just do the drugs right in front of you and act like ain't happened. You in the middle of a goddamn meeting. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the movie with you, and then we're gonna go back. Did you know that I can see you? You right there. It's on your nose. Motherfucker gay in Hollywood, you never expected. They be having these big mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited than a mother to be at the mansion party. You be looking at all the goddamn rooms, and you around and look in the wrong room and Nick, come here. Is that two kissing? Is one of them Professor Opie? He came out the closet. Oh my God, rubber.
The point is not to make allegations, but the kind of access that industry gatherings like those represented came with an implicit social contract. And some people, whether by instinct or by principle, never sign that contract. That decision tends to look very different in hindsight. One of the things that makes Larenz Tate's story distinct from a lot of the cautionary tales that come out of Hollywood is what he built around himself outside of work. He has been with his wife Thomasina, music parrot, for over 2 decades. They have 4 sons together, and in multiple interviews, he has talked about his family structure as the anchor that kept him from losing himself in an industry designed to make you music do exactly that. He said in one interview that his parents always told him not to get caught up in the roles he was playing. O-Dog was not him, and Darius Lovehall was not him. Those were just pieces of who he was, not the whole definition. And that kind of grounding does not happen by accident. It comes from the people you keep close and the values you genuinely hold. In your younger years, when you first got started, let's say the first 5, 8 years of your career, what was the best role you felt like you played? You felt like you put everything into it. And when you watched it'd probably be my first movie, which was Menace to Society. Yeah, you did. So, and I'll tell you why. Because everything up until then, I was on MTV. Yeah, and with Music Network Television, you have sponsorships. You have to sort of fit a mold. You have to kind of be in a box, and there's things that you can and cannot do. By the time I got to do this movie with these young, how old were you? When I got the audition, I was 16. Music. For Menace? For Menace. I filmed the movie. I was 17. Oh no. Music was you was 17. I was 17 when we filmed it. But that's why you deliver. Oh, you did that. So, up until then, I was just doing a lot of TV. By the time I got a chance to do Menace, music, I was very clear about what it was. And I understood the assignment because things I had seen, I'm not going to dry snitch on myself, but things that I had been around and experienced both in Chicago and in Los Angeles, I knew those characters. Music, I knew them 100%. So when you read the script and you went and audition, it was easy for you. I wouldn't say it. Music was easy because you knew you could deliver. But here's the thing. When I got the script, I was in Chicago, right? My brothers were back in LA, music, and they say, "Hey man, you got to come home for audition." I said, "Man, I ain't about to leave, you know, Chicago. I'm on summer break, and you know there's a young lady that I'm interested in right now. So that audition is going to have to wait." They said, "No man, for real. This is like something new and it's different, and I think you going. Let me stop you there. Now, this is something they're hearing about telling you that they want you, or this is something they passing off to you. They're telling me about it because they were up for some of the roles as well. So they were. Like, yo, bro, we got to get in on this." So I was like, all right. So I came back to LA, and when I read the size of the script, the character of OD Dog did not reflect how I looked. The description was like he was a short, muscular, or tall, muscular guy, very a dark complexion, long ponytail, fresh out of jail, tattoos everywhere. I was looking like a Disney kid, man. I was looking like, you know, I was fresh. You know what I'm saying? Have a fresh haircut. You know what I'm laughter saying? You know, I had the fresh fade. I didn't have no B. I was like, this is not me. And so, I said, man, I have to go in there and change their minds. And for me, I just said, okay, I've been around people that you didn't expect that can go from 0 to 100 music and just flip on you. And that was one of the things that I knew I had to do. I had to be able to shake the room up for them to take me seriously. And fortunately, music, I was able to. You delivered that. Felt good. It felt right. Can we get the line? Can we get a line? You can't get a line. What is your acting like? What is it to you? 'Cause we all have our favorite right there, bro. What are you acting like, bro? Acting like a little __. Laughter. Yeah. No. We had some. What's crazy about that also being authentic, you know, working with Red Fox when I got to OD Dog, I mean, they wrote a great script. Shout out to the Huge Brothers and Katt Williams, who wrote the movie and produced it and directed it. But music, I knew there was some nuances that I had to throw on there. So when I was certain things that were there, but music things that made the movie that wasn't in a script, like in the liquor store, there's a moment where music, you know, my character O'Dog along with Kong Tyrone Turner, shout out to Tyrone Turner, in the liquor store, and the music clerks who worked there were trying to, you know, they were watching them their every move, and once they stereotyping the stereotyping. So once they paid for their, you know, the drinks, or whatever other clerk said, he was sorry about jumping for your mother. He said something about OD Dog's mother or whatever, but OD Dog took that personally. I understand what that's like, because I'm cool. I'm collect. I'm great. The moment we get to talking about my mother in any capacity, music, you know, it's smoke. It's real. It's real. So that moment what you say about that was real. That was Larenz. That wasn't Old Dog, right? Yeah. Music. Yeah. The other stuff over Dog, but that was Renz came out for show. His brothers Larenz and Lammert are also a part of this music picture. The three of them eventually formed Tapeman Entertainment, their own production company. That is not just a business move. That is a structural decision to have a lane that nobody else controls. When you own your production infrastructure, you have options that actors without it simply do not have. You can say no to things because you have something else to build toward. Larenz Music, Tate essentially built himself a safety net that was made of family values and ownership. And that combination is genuinely rare in that world. Here's what the narrative of Hollywood survival actually looks like when someone does it on their own terms. Larenz Tate joined the Power universe on Starz, playing Councilman Rashad Tate across multiple seasons and spin-offs, and the performance landed. It was complex, layered, morally interesting in the way the best television characters are. He was not playing a redemption arc, but he was playing a man with real flaws and real ambitions and real contradictions, which is exactly what good drama requires.
They based O-Dog after me. like the whole character, his whole characteristic, the way he was acting, being hella joking about, you know, and it was my whole characteristics, like the whole with the whole braid thing, the way the braids was, the way he was acting, you know. I had the script for that part. Hughes Brothers came to the In My Neighborhood video, and they talked to me and Tupac and wanted Tupac to be Sharif, and they wanted me to play O-Dog.
Right.
Yeah, so and my manager didn't keep up with the business like he was supposed to, so I fired his ass. To this day, I'm mad at his stupid ass. That shit.
Right.
And then so they just gave me the soundtrack, and you know I already had things in my head about, you know, it was a song I had already written, but it pertained to the movie already. So I was like, this is crazy. But yeah, that song was it played in the movie, and you know, the soundtrack went platinum. It was competing with, I think, only thing that knocked that soundtrack down to number 2 was when I think it was either Snoop Dogg Doggy Style dropped, or the Chronic 2 dropped. One of those dropped and moved that down to number 2.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And I was just about to ask you about that. So the reason why you wasn't in Ministry Society is because of your manager. He dropped the ball on that. It was all because of your manager.
Yeah, oh man. You know, he didn't call the Hughes Brothers back. You know what I'm saying? And talk to him about the business. And while I'm sitting up here reading the script, thinking I'm about to be in the movie, this motherfucker ain't handling his business. So yeah, that was ugly, man. That was, you know.
The show gave him a platform that reached a whole new generation of viewers who had not been alive for Love Jones. And the original fans who grew up on his work were reminded all over again of what they had always known. What is worth noting here is the timeline. This was not an overnight comeback. It was the result of decades of steady work, of staying in the craft, of not burning bridges, and not compromising the things that mattered most. He did not have to reinvent music himself or offer some public spectacle of redemption, but he simply kept doing the work and waited for the right opportunity to find him. In an industry that celebrates people who make noise and flame out, Larenz Tate's path is almost radical in how quiet and consistent it has been. It turns out that longevity and integrity can coexist. The industry just does not promote that story as often as the other kind. Now let us zoom out for a second, music, and look at what all of this actually means beyond the specific story of one actor, because there's a larger conversation underneath all of this that Katt Williams has been trying to point people toward for years, and it keeps getting reduced to drama or gossip when it deserves more serious attention. The entertainment industry, music, particularly for Black artists, has historically operated in ways that extract maximum cultural value while offering minimum institutional protection. The people who thrived, at least in the conventional visible sense, were often the ones who found a patron aligned with a powerful figure or made themselves useful to a structure that was not built to serve them. That is not a conspiracy. That is a documented pattern across decades of music, film, and television. What Katt Williams has been saying when you filter out the performative bits and focus on the substance is that the people who refused those arrangements paid a visible price in terms of mainstream music access. But he also seems to be suggesting that the price they did not pay is the one that matters more in the long run. Larenz Tate has a marriage, a family, a production company, and a career that spans more than 3 decades. He never became tabloid fodder, never had to walk anything back publicly, music, and never had to explain himself in ways that cost him his dignity. There is a version of winning that does not look like winning from the outside. And maybe that is the most important version. Can you kind of talk about and explain the power memes that's out there? I mean, yeah, it's a thing. So it is a thing. So, on social media, there are memes from moments of a scene. MHM, that are clear as throat characters. One of my big memes out there is when Councilman Tate is talking to Ghost about some money. Real money. Music. And you know the line is the N-word what? And so music, that is a big one. You know, there's a lot that come from that TV show. The memes are crazy. And what's the thing about it, like those who watch Power And those power fans, they're like serious. They're like family. Like they don't let nothing slide. You know what I mean? And so I think, we were able to do lines in the show, not to think that music they would become memes, but we were just being, my character also always had some like funny one-liners and stuff that people were able to take away. And music, I thought that the memes always made us laugh. So anytime we see people send me memes of Councilman Tate, I see them from everybody. So the memes don't bother us. So what do we actually take from all of this, as at the end of the day, Katt Williams saying something about someone in Hollywood is not automatically a revelation. He is a provocateur by nature, and the line between what he knows and what he is speculating on is not always clearly drawn. You have to bring your own discernment to it. When his observations line up with what we can verify independently with Larenz Tate's own words and interviews with the documented history of how that music industry operates with what the Diddy situation ended up exposing about access and silence and complicity, a coherent picture starts to form. It is a picture of a man who made quiet, deliberate choices over a very long career. Choices that were probably costly at certain moments and almost certainly unpopular in certain rooms. But choices that he has never publicly regretted, and that seem from everything we can see to have been rooted in a very clear sense of who he is and what he is not willing to become. That raises the real question, the one worth sitting with in an industry built around reinvention and image. How rare is it to find someone who simply decided to stay exactly themselves? And what did it actually cost them to do it? Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on any new videos. And until then, fam, keep it real.